Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Our opening song is on page 10. We will be using Mishkan Tefillah tonight. Page 10. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, הנה מה טוב ומנעים, הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, הנה מה טוב ומנעים, הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Thanks, guys. So, in case you were wondering where the rabbi is, he's celebrating his 50th birthday off somewhere with his wife and family for the weekend. But I would like to call up Lori Kassman to give a couple of opening remarks.
Sorry, I'm not rabbi.
Can you talk with an accent?
You don't want me to try. So Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I am Lori Kassman, and I have the honor of serving on both the Kolami Board and the Board of Women of Kolami. And I wanted to take a moment to give a special thank you to our veterans who have served for our country. Your service and sacrifice is appreciated by all, and we thank you. I had the unique experience of attending our first Kolami retreat this past weekend. There were over 50 of us that spent the weekend together at the Biosphere in Oracle. I've lived in Arizona for 83 years, and I confess I had never visited this property. But it was a great place to have the retreat, and my hat's off to the planning committee. It was truly beautiful. Now, I really wasn't sure what to expect, and truthfully, even at one point, I even thought I was going to cancel. I'm so glad that I didn't. It was so much fun. I had the chance to really build relationships with people that I knew enough to say, hi, how are you doing? But this gave me the opportunity to really talk to people, to get to know people. I found out that Fran has a horse, Jim does yoga, Deb did a 5K run, Rabbi Malcolm is allergic to cats, and Liz runs a fur baby business. And I'm not quite sure that I would learn all of these tidbits about my fellow congregants had I not attended that weekend. It was a weekend of togetherness and community building. We prayed, we sang, we ate, we played games. A group of us even got lost in the biosphere. Now that's not, we're a unique group, I can say that. But it really was a wonderful learning and bonding experience that I will remember for a long time. And you can sign me up for next year. I'm so proud to be a part of this Kolami community. We are such a welcoming community, and we truly live the phrase, a home of joyful Judaism for all. Thank you, welcome, and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Lori. We'd like to call up Susan Marie and Aaron Flanagan to light the Shabbat candles this evening. The blessings will be found on page 2.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahalak ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We continue with a medley. It's called, the composer named it something really strange. It's called Ze'er Anpin, but it's really Lechuna Ranana and Shiru Ladonai. So if you turn to page 12 and page 13, we've done it a few times, and like I say most of the time, the choir is here to help you sing, not to perform for you. So if you know the songs that we're singing, please sing with us.
Shir chadash
turn to page 19? Read together, please. The voice of Adonai kindles flames of fire. The voice of Adonai convulses the wilderness. Adonai convulses the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of Adonai causes hinds to calve and strips forests bare. While in God's temple all say glory. Adonai sat enthroned at the flood. Adonai sits enthroned, sovereign forever. May Adonai grant strength to God's people. May Adonai bestow on God's people well-being. We continue with Lachado D on page 20. Lachado D, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekabela. Lachado D, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmianu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad, U'shemo echad, Shemul tiferet elitila, Lechad odi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekabela. Lechad odi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekabela. Likrat Shabbat, lechurecha, ki mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nesrucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tehila. Lechad odi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekabela. Lechad odi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki ba'orek, kumi ori, uri, uri, shir gaberi, Vod Adonai alayich nigla. Lechad odi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekabela. Lechad odi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekabela. We rise to welcome Shabbat. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala.
גם בשמחה ובצהלה,
תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לechad odi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekabela. Lechad odi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekabela. Please be seated. It's hard to pick readings from Kabbalat Shabbat for Veterans Day, because Kabbalat Shabbat is such a joyful part of our liturgy. It used to be that people who were in mourning didn't even come in until the end of Lechad odi, when they were escorted in, because it was seen as too painful to be here when we're singing Lechu Naranana, let's rejoice, let's rejoice. So I think what we need to do is realize that joy can be found anywhere, and respect that our veterans have been through some difficult, very difficult times that we can't even imagine, but they too will experience great joy. So we're on page 22. It is good to sing praise to Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night. With a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together, you have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai, how very subtle your designs. A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this.
The righteous bloom like a date palm. They thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they flourish in the courts of our God. In old age, they still produce fruit. They are full of sap and freshness, attesting that Adonai is upright, my rock in whom there is no wrong.
We continue on page 26.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayeichon u'yomeichon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבא מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמה, ואמרו Amen. Please rise. Barechu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach, hamevorach leolam vaed.
There is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings with the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song. Nivarech. We read together on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, uvituvuna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil bein yom uvein laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. And on the bottom of page, on the foot of page 32, everlasting love, together, everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them. For they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
We continue standing or sitting. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען יזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
So one of the readings we just did, the Ma'ariv Aravim, that talks about how God brings on the day and brings on the evening. I always think of that this time of year because as I leave the house in the morning, the sun goes from straight in my eyes to a month later, barely over the mountains, and by a couple weeks from now, it'll be dark. Same thing when I'm driving here. Sun is going down, and tonight it was right on the horizon, so it wasn't in my eyes the whole way. It's the changing of the seasons, but I would know that the seasons were changing, even if it wasn't cold, even if it wasn't getting darker, because of the people who spend the summer someplace else and come here. And I want to welcome you all back because it's such a pleasure to see those familiar faces. It's like they've been away and they come home to us for at least the winter. Maybe we could get it to stay cold a little longer here so that I would love that. Anyway, we're going to continue with Micha Mocha, our song of being saved at the shore of the sea. Page 40.
Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha nedar ba'kodesh, Norat hilot, ol sefele, Norat hilot, ol sefele, Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha nedar ba'kodesh, Norat hilot, ol sefele, Norat hilot, ol sefele,
מלכותך ראובנך, מוקי הים לפני משה, זה אלי ענו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. So Sarah doesn't get mad at me very often. Well, at least she doesn't let on that she gets mad at me very often. But one of the things that she loves in the service is the Hashkivenu prayer, the one about lying down at night and being able to be protected. And there's a version of it that we like to sing, and you can find the words based on the Hashkivenu on page 373, or there will be slides up there if your eyes are good enough. Oh, guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps and help me make this day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps and help me make this day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. We continue with Vishamru, but I always love to remember the sentence that says, more than Israel has kept the Sabbath has kept Israel, and Vishamru reminds us of this fact. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת
שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Pray as if everything depended on God, but act as if everything depended on you. We rise for the Amida on page 46. Adonai Svatai Tizrach Adonai Svatai Tizrach Ufi Yagid Tehillateh Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'konei Hakol V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imachot U'mevii Geula livnei b'neihem Leman Shemo be'ahava Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai Mechayei hakol atah Rav lehoshia Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem Mechakel chayim bechesed Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim Somech noflim verofei cholim Umatir asurim Umekayem emunato Li shenei afar Mi chamocha ba'gevurot Umi domelach Melech memit umechayeh Umasmiach Yeshua ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. We continue silently through page 60, either standing or sitting.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech hador, lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech hador, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levorech et amcha Yisrael, bechol עת ובכל שעה, בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Tasim Leolam. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
in our service, we will be asking for a special blessing of healing. Now I am. We'll be asking for a special blessing of healing, and I would like to invite anyone who is joining us in the virtual world to send in names for healing. Just send them to Sydney, and we will read those names. If anyone here has names of people who are ill or need a little extra blessing, please raise your hand and I'll call on you. Yes. Thank you. Andy. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Marcia. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Lori? Thank you. Tom? Dick? Thank you. Yes, Paul? Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Let's rise for the Mishaberach. The words can be found on on page 253. Mishaberach Avoteinu Mekor habracha Leimotenu Be'ez source of strength who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Please be seated. So, there are generational things that are really different, and you don't realize that somebody who is just a few years younger or a few years older will have a totally different opinion or understanding, or even not know what you're talking about when you bring up something. I first learned this about Sarah Bolt on Hanukkah, because there was a Hanukkah song that we used to do that was lie, 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 lie. How many people know that tune? See, it's generational. Those were the days. Oh, yes, those were the days. Never heard it. So if you're a certain age older, a certain age younger than me, you have no idea what I'm talking about.
What now?
Now you know it. We do it every year. You can't help it. But it's the same thing for the anthems for the armed services. I had the privilege this week of teaching them to the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders at Tucson Hebrew Academy. And how many people know the Army one? First to fight for the right, da da da. Marine Corps from the shores of Montezuma, yeah, right? From the halls of Montezuma. How about Anchors Aweigh, My Boys? Yes. What about the Air Force? Off we go into the wild. That was a commercial years ago, so that's how I learned that tune. but there's a new one. You'll love this one. So we're going to do, in honor of Veterans Day, a medley of the Armed Forces anthems. They're going to be on the screen. Just sing with me if you know them. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. Then it's hi, hi, hey, the army's on its way. Count off the cadence loud and strong. And wherever we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along. And I know it used to be caissons, but nobody knows what those are anymore, so now it's the army. Here we go. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battles in the air and land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marine. Anchors aweigh, my boys, anchors aweigh. Farewell to foreign shores, we sail at break of day. Who our last night on shore, drink to the foam. Until we meet again, here's wishing you a happy voyage home. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder. And boys, give her the gun. Down we dive, spouting our flame from under. Off with one heck of a roar. We live in fame, go down in flame. Nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force. Now this one's new. We're the mighty watchful eye, guardians beyond the blue, the invisible front line, war fighters brave and true. What is it? The Space Force. The next verse is even better, but let's skip it for now. I was so thrilled to find that one, and we had all these kids singing the Space Force anthem, and I didn't even know it existed until 2 weeks ago. I found, I'm going to give away a secret. I used to be married to a rabbi, right? Okay, so I learned they don't come up with all their ideas on their own. There are websites, and there are books, and there are da-da-da. So I figured, okay, I'm doing a Veterans Day sermon. I'm going to just read some stuff online. I found an amazing sermon that a rabbi gave somewhere. And he was talking about something really interesting, and it was so timely to today, because what he started up was in honor of Veterans Day. He was going to tell a little-known story of courage. And he said it happened around Iwo Jima. Some of you are too young to know what that is, but it was a horrible battle. 22,000 Japanese soldiers defended Iwo Jima, and they were buried in underground fortresses. So, the tunnels, and there were no front lines. to fight. So the American soldiers were fighting, but they rarely got a glimpse of who they were fighting. And 110,000 Marines, approximately 1,500 of them were Jewish, were transported on 880 ships to Iwo Jima. And the Japanese were given the order to fight to the death. And what ended up happening was, in 36 days of fighting, 6,825 American soldiers were killed and 19,000 were wounded, and virtually all of the 22,000 Japanese soldiers were killed. But that's not the story. When the fighting was over, the division chaplain, Warren Cuthriel, was a Protestant minister, and he asked Rabbi Roland Gittleson, a Marine chaplain, to deliver a memorial sermon at a joint religious ceremony dedicating the Marine cemetery. Rabbi Gittleson had been in the thick of the fighting, ministering to Marines of all faiths during the battle. He was awarded 3 combat ribbons for his service under fire. Yet the majority of the Protestant chaplains objected to Rabbi Gittleson's preaching over predominantly Christian graves. Catholic chaplains opposed any form of combined worship, basing their opposition in church doctrine. So, to his credit, Chaplain Cuthriel refused to change his order, but Rabbi Gittleson said, look, let's have 3 separate denominations of service, and I'll deliver a sermon to the Jewish mourners. And there were 70 people in attendance of his service. And I want to read you a little excerpt from that sermon. Here lie men who loved America because their ancestors generations ago helped in her founding, and other men who loved her with equal passion because they themselves or their own fathers escaped from oppression to her blessed shores. Here lie officers and men, Negroes and whites, rich men and poor, together. Here are Protestants, Catholics, and Jews together. Here no man prefers another because of his faith or despises him because of his color. Here there are no quotas of how many from each group are admitted or allowed. And among these men there is no discrimination, no prejudice, no hatred. Theirs is the highest and purest democracy. Whosoever of us lifts his hand in hate against a brother, or who thinks himself superior to those who happen to be in the minority, makes of this ceremony and the bloody sacrifice it commemorates an empty, hollow mockery. Out of this and from the suffering and sorrow of those who mourn will come, we promise, the birth of a new freedom for the sons of men everywhere. And although very few people actually heard the sermon that day, a number of the Christian chaplains did attend in protest of the cancellation of the joint worship. And a Protestant chaplain who heard the rabbi speak sent copies, and it was mail, it wasn't email, sent copies of this sermon to thousands of soldiers, and some of them sent it home to their families, and the story was picked up by the Armed Forces Radio and broadcast throughout the world, and parts of the sermon were published in Time magazine. Shortly before his death in 1995, Rabbi Gittleson read from the sermon at the 50th anniversary of the dedication of the Iwo Jima Memorial in Washington, D.C. He said, I have often wondered if anyone would have ever heard of my sermon if not for the bigoted attempt to cancel it. Each year on Veterans Day, November 11th, we honor living veterans and the memory of those who passed, especially those we knew and loved. We acknowledge the horrific risk they willingly took and the appalling sacrifices they made for the sake of others, not least ourselves. We also honor the millions of veterans who never saw combat but confronted its real possibility in their lives, and the 1.2 million Americans now on active duty, including more than 10,000 Jews serving in our armed forces today. It's really sad when it takes prejudice and bigotry to rear its ugly head to make us realize how much we are one and how united we are. It's also interesting that Rena, who is Israeli, most of you know her, she's our educator, was talking about the difference between the war in Israel right now and Americans. It was an interesting point of view. I don't always agree with it, but she said in Israel, the minute the war started, every single Israeli was out there looking out for each other. So if soldiers needed food, if people in this neighborhood needed electricity or heat or water, they weren't waiting for the government to take care of it. They took care of it themselves. And the one thing I will tell you about that I just loved is when they asked a soldier who was on the front lines every day in Gaza, they said, "What do you miss the most? Are you hungry? Are you lonely? He said, "No, I miss a hot shower." So someone got together some of his friends and created a portable shower and took it from base to base, from area to area, so that the soldiers could have a hot shower. I know a lot of us are here feeling a little bit helpless. What can we do to help? But there are so many things that we can do to help our Israeli brothers and sisters, to send aid to people all over. And I'm going to get one little bit political, but not the way you think. Not the way you think. I hear people talking about the lives of the Palestinians and what it was like before October 7th. And they're marching in the streets and protesting for them. And I ask myself, because I was born here, how many of these people have been to the Navajo reservation or to cells and seen what conditions those people are living in? And I keep thinking that we as a Jewish community can help our Israeli brothers and sisters, but maybe we should look a little closer to our neighborhood and see what we can do to help them, not because we're afraid of a war, but because we want to help those who need it. And that's all I have to say. At this point, I ask those who have birthdays or anniversaries to please rise. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, our God and God of our ancestors, please bless these wonderful people with a year that is better than the last, and many more years that are even better than that, and help them share the joy that they bring to us with the rest of the world, and to feel some of that joy all the time themselves, because we owe them so much. Happy birthday, happy anniversary, and let's all sing a little bit of Shehechianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. People, and during the oneg, it's your job to go up to each and every one of them and wish them mazel tov. Have a seat, folks. Actually, We're going to ask for if any of those at home have names for the Kaddish list tonight, please send them in the chat on Zoom and in the comment section on everything else. And we continue with Aleinu on page 282. Please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. We have a tradition that those who are remembering a loved one this evening come up and take one of the stones and place it on the table, and you can do that at this time. On page 293, we remember our people who suffered and died so that we could be free and secure. May their memory be more than a distant shadow. For their dreams left unfulfilled and lives taken too soon, we remember. Remember our brothers and sisters whose sacrifice kept the dream of democracy and justice alive. May their courage be our inspiration and strength.
For life cut short and vision unrealized, we remember.
Remember the fallen of our armed services, the victims of terror and tragedy. May the darkness of their loss not obscure the light of peace. They were in love with our land and in love with life.
For the agony, the tears, the mothers and the fathers, for the children who were and for the children yet to be, we remember.
I don't think it can be a coincidence that Veterans Day is observed the same week as Kristallnacht. Kristallnacht was the time that our people first experienced the hatred of the Nazis in an organized fashion. And Kristallnacht is the night of broken glass, because there were thousands of, it was something like 7,500 homes and businesses that belonged to Jews were smashed and destroyed. Jews were killed, Jews were injured. And it was a first night of realizing that the life they had lived before was no more. It makes me nervous when I see what goes on in some of our city streets, because I don't think the Jews of Germany ever expected what happened to them. And we have to remember, never again. We remember Jackie Nemirovsky, aunt of Nancy Robertson, who was laid to rest this past week, and the Shloshim of Kurt Fisher, Lenore Mendelson, Isabel Verduro, Richard Ablin, Harriet Smith, Lois Rich, Bob Germain, Earl Spielman, Rabbi Eric Wisnia, Allison Sprinkle, and Laurel Oreri Bartlett. The Yortzites observed this week Esther Abramson, Lou Engel, Helen Burlat, Theodore Burson, Alexander Blumenberg, Mary Colton, Jerome Cutler, George Dickstein, Aidan Dishman, Marjorie Funkus, Matthew Gentle, Yvette Goldman, Nathan Goldman, Howard Goldwyn, Robert Gordon, Lorraine Gordon, Esther Grossman, Donald Hochberg, Albert Horowitz, Isidore Horowitz, Aaron Katz, Naomi Kelman, William Leboff, Louis Leeds, Bernard Leibovitz, Francis Levinson, Kalman Liebeskind, Judith McDonald, Melvin Meyer, Alec I. Mesh, Dorothy Myers, Michael Posner, Adeline Richardson, Dick Robachek, Pearl Rosen, Thomas Rubin, Louis Schlesinger, Gussie Selig, Lena Shapiro, Jerry Schulman, Dolly Dolganow-Sergani, Betty Sommerman, Marion Steiner, Philip Seid, and Anna Weinstein. If there are names that you would like to mention, please rise and do so at this time. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes? Thank you. Thank you. We rise and join together in the words of the Kaddish on page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divra chirutei, be'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon, u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv, v'imru amen.
Yehi Shemei Rabbah Mevarach Le'olam U'Almei Olmaya.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalet v'yitalal Shemei d'Kudusha Brichu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. V'imru 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 amen. V'imru, v'imru, v'imru excited. I would like to thank the choir, and I would like to thank Chris Tackett and our fabulous recorder player, Alex. And is that Aubrey? Who is that back there? Aubrey and Sydney and Will for doing all the tech tonight, and the cantor tonight. What? Oh, yeah, and Chris, who's doing all the work. But meanwhile, if you enjoyed the choir tonight, I'm going to invite you Thursday night at 7 p.m. Those of you who missed them on Yom Kippur, they're going to be doing a bunch of Yom Kippur music. And Dick and Audrey, you can join us if you want to. Because I know you know the Yom Kippur music backwards and forwards. But come hear them. It's a free concert. If you want to contribute to the concert fund for future musical endeavors, you can do that. But otherwise, let's join in a song that's a hope for the future, because you're not supposed to be sad on Shabbat. Even if you're in mourning, Shiva ends on Shabbat. So we're going to end with a song for peace. It's page 353.
At the bottom?
At the bottom, at the foot of the page. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Ve'al kulam. All right, we're missing something. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam, salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. And let's join together in the Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. V'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit. Ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh. Zecher letziat Mitzrayim. Ki banu v'charta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim. V'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
Amotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Te'avon.
Shabbat Shalom.